Welcome to the 9th episode of Real Talk with Claudia. Here we talk about all things mental health, mindfulness, wellness, self-development, community values, anything that is helping us live quality lives. And today's topic is very exciting because it is on adult friendships. Why friendships? I believe they're the cornerstone, one of the most important aspects of living a quality life. And the most exciting thing about today's topic is that the problem statement is from a fan of Real Talk with Claudia who wrote to us to say, guys, can you please talk about this? I'm having a challenge. So we will be dissecting the challenges we are facing today with regards to friendships, and we'll get some nuggets on approaches and outlooks that we can take to have healthier and better friendships. So just to get on the same page, when we talk about friendships, we're just basically talking about individuals who voluntarily choose to create a bond based on common interest, connection, or values. And why is it so important? It's because it plays such a vital role when it comes to our mental health, when it comes to our happiness, when it comes to our ability to cope with stress, when it comes to a lot of aspects that help us actually live better lives, especially when you look into the aspect that scientists talk to the regard that as humans, we are hardwired to build connections, and we just have this natural desire to create deeper connections on earth. One of them being friendships. Personally, I find it really important because there's something that Trevor Noah preaches, and I get to agree with it, that one of the reasons why non-platonic relationships fail today, it is because we've just become so horrible at creating friendships. And we just give this pressure to one person who's our partner to be everything in our lives. We neglect our friendships. We've become so poor at creating friendships. And if we actually had healthier friendships, our relationships with our partners would become a little bit healthier because we'd just take away some of that load to anticipate our needs, to be our everything, to be our go-to to everything. And we get to share that need with many people across our lives. So let us get to read this problem statement and we'll take it one step at a time. So here it goes. I'm just going to read it out to you. It says, "Hey, Claudia, just realized I follow you in different channels. Love your work and everything you stand for. This was probably on your list, but one of your episodes, can you talk about female friendships and how it can be hard, in my experience, to find and keep one in adulthood? Growing up, I used to treat my friends like my sisters since I am the only child. Not sure if it was clingy behavior, but I'm not sure if I take the whole thing too seriously. That is really hard for me to have a surface level relationship. I'm a Scorpio." Backstory, ne? I switched schools a lot when I was younger, but I had the wonderful friendships. We grew apart, some married, some living in other countries. I do have male friends, but I really desire that sisterhood again. I'm just not sure what I'm doing wrong in my 20s, that my female relationships are just not getting there. I need your advice. Am I the problem? I didn't want to be too vulnerable, but sometimes I feel lonely. I'm currently in a new job as an entertainment journalist, and it also doesn't help that I'm an artist. I am always around men. As I was saying, that it has just been hard to make and keep female friends since after high school. And it is starting to get to me mentally. I don't know if it is just a me problem or it is a common thing. So it would be nice to hear a different perspective and just to know where to start. It was so easy at school. We would just meet, like each other, and decide we are friends. Do you even ask someone to be your friend? Or it just happens? Our career goals and getting boyfriends and husbands killing the sisterhood? Is it even too late to make a friend? I feel like I put myself out there a lot. Between 19 to 25, I was modeling, performing, competitions, and it made me more insecure. Aside from the new job, I'm currently in a strange season where I'm looking to rebrand, but also just really have gotten comfortable in isolation. There's so much I feel I'm passionate about, but I'm not yet sure on how to structure and introduce it. It's a little chaotic for now. So that is our problem statement. And as we have this conversation, we'll just make it a little bit more neutral, not necessarily focused on sisterhood, because friendship is a universal language. And just before we go any further, you're not too deep, or maybe you are too deep, and there is nothing wrong with being too deep. Like, in life, we only have this one shot. We only get to live once. So what is wrong with being too deep with things? Because you want to make sure that you're having the best experiences at this one shot at life that you have. And secondly, you are not the only person. In fact, it is so great that we're talking about this today, because let me tell you what, we are losing more men than women to suicide. And one of those major reasons for suicide, it is loneliness. And also, speaking to loneliness, it is one of the leading causes of mental health deterioration, of anxiety, of depression. So clearly, it needs to be as deep as it can possibly be. And also, one of the most interesting things that I've come across is that on deathbeds, or when people are sick, actually women get more visits than men. So yes, it does include men as well. And the reason that women get more visits in those hospital beds, it's because they're normally good at building communities around themselves. They make more friendships. They tend to invest more on friendships. They tend to create deeper bonds, which we'll dissect a little bit as we continue, because I believe that it's both a pro and a con when it comes to that. But now, let us just start off by discussing a little bit deeper on to the challenges that we have on friendships. You touched on how when we are at school, it's much more easier to create friendships. And that is true. We have a couple of factors that allow us to have these friendships. For an example, we are almost at the same age for all of us. We are facing similar challenges. One of them being approved and validated, and it's probably about dating, it's probably about studies. We're just at the same stage of life, so we relate to each other more. And another important thing that we have at that time is time. We get to see each other more often. And the environment just allows us to see each other more often. We get the environment to detect where we are. For an example, when we are at school, we get to do sports. We're spending more time together and we have similar activities going on. On Sundays, you have family planning for you to go to church. So you go to church, you'll definitely meet your friends and you'll be doing similar activities there. You are talking about similar things. You are pursuing similar things. You even want similar things, similar clothes, similar school bags. And even parents at the same time, they get to plan your birthday. Maybe they get to plan get-togethers. Everything in your environment actually allows you to cultivate those friendships. And now when you get older, it's much more upon yourself to cultivate that those friendships work out. It's much more upon yourself to actually plan for a date, plan for activities, plan for a call, plan for actually create conversations to find out that you actually have mutual interests and values and outlooks. So now as we get older, we get to dismiss the fact that now it is on us to actually create friendships and make them work and keep the fire going. And it is true that as we grow older, we get to pursue new things, right? Relationships, school, jobs, marriages, and purpose. And I feel like these are one of the greatest challenges that we face. We tend to notice this deep or change in our friendships when we hit our 20s or after university, because when you're at university, at the same time, you have proximity, you are living in the same room or across blocks, you get to meet in class, you get to go out and buy lunch together, or you get to meet when you do sports. When you finish uni, that changes. Like everybody is just trying to find themselves. They are looking for a job. Some people go back home. Some people come to the cities. Some people are hustling. Some people are having children. Some people are getting married. Like there are a lot of changes. And it is upon ourselves to take the initiative to actually make sure that those friendships stay alive. You know, I remember that when I finished uni, one of my advices from my bigger sister was, don't forget your friends from uni. And to me, it just felt so random. I was like, why does it even matter for you to need to tell me that? But now as I grow older, I'm realizing that, oh my gosh, she was so right. It is so important because so many things get on the way. It is just so easy for those friendships to die out. The messaging becomes less and less and less. You get to meet less and less and less, call less and less and less because everybody is so damn busy. So you need to take it upon yourself to make sure that you check on each other. And that means that actually scheduling for calls. And, you know, some people find this a little bit weird because they may feel entitled to your time. Just by the mere fact that you are friends, they feel entitled to your time. They feel like just because they've messaged, you have to respond instantly, or they feel like they can call at any time. But in actual fact, it is a privilege that you have access to me. And of course, maybe to a degree, you could feel entitled to my time, but at the end of the day, it is my time. And you need to respect that. Like, I'll get back to you when I can, you know? We do get busy, and that's the truth of it all. Everybody is trying to establish themselves, is trying to find their feet, and they're trying to take care of their mental health. So if you're going to be that somebody who can't understand and respect that other people are busy and give them that grace that when they are actually at capacity to respond, they will respond, you'll easily fall under the toxic friend category. All right. Now, with that being said, as much as we are busy, by the mere fact that we choose to be friends, we do need to invest in those friendships. So as much as we are busy, we need to carve out time for our friends. Hence the introduction of scheduling calls. This is something that could be talked about. Like, okay, my most ideal time to catch up with you would be on the weekend at 2 p.m. Like, that's what I literally do, guys. And some people would take offense at this. They'd be like, oh, Claudia, so now we need to go through secretaries to get through to you. And it's sort of like, do you feel that important? But for me, I really take it as a love language. For me to say, I'll carve out specific time to be attentive to you and speak to you and just for us to catch up, it's a huge thing. And if you feel like I'm too important to even suggest that, maybe it's a sign that we shouldn't even be friends. Because the truth of it all, we do get busy. We literally do. And we have to allow each other as we go through these phases of life to grow and find ourselves. So the same with making time to meet up. This is something that becomes literally harder because imagine that you just start having many priorities. Many things start being important. Your job, your children, and sometimes even your family. You know, some people have old parents and they are trying to spend as much time as they possibly can before their parents pass away or they get worse sick. Some people are really trying to be good parents themselves, make time for their children, help them with homework, help prepare lunch. And some people are investing time in church to do community service. Some people are just really working on being great partners, spending time with their partners. So it isn't that as a friend you aren't important anymore. It's just that I have these many conflicting priorities. So yes, we do have to make time to invest in creating meetups. And hence why when you have honest and transparent conversations in these things, you'll find out that, the next meetup we're going to have is in July at 2 p.m. on a Saturday. It's a thing. And the more we are flexible and understanding with these kinds of dynamics, the better we stand the chances of having healthy friendships. Because let me tell you what, some people start taking offense when they can't actually accept the fact that you are busy. They're so easy to cut you off or feel like the friendship just went sideways. We are no longer friends. When you look at it at a deeper level, you'll get to realize that no, they failed to accept the transition. Maybe it isn't necessarily that we need to cut each other off. It's just that we need to accept the next stages of life that we're at. One of the most amazing things that I had in the past when I was listening to the Super Soul series by Eckhart Tolle and Oprah Winfrey is that Eckhart Tolle was talking about the transitioning of relationships. This happens to all relationships. And allowing the transition is understanding that maybe sometimes we're not going to be able to call each other as we used to or see each other as we used to. One of the practical examples that I'll make right now with regards to my personal life that I noticed is that while we're all figuring out ourselves, I went to uni. One of my friends moved abroad to the UK, and allowing that transition to happen, one of the things that we practice so much is literally scheduling for calls. So we'd go for months without talking. And then one time when she feels like she needs me, she's going to be like, hey, babe, when are you available? I really need you. We need to talk. And depending on the intensity of the urgency, I'm going to be like, yeah, how bad do you need this? And if it's very bad, I'm going to be like, yeah, I'm available at 11 p.m. my time. And we're going to schedule that call. And we're also going to cap it if we need to, Yeah, we only have an hour to talk about this. We schedule that call. We get on that call. We talk about what we need to talk to. She feels better. We go on with life. And when I need her as well, I'm going to do the same. And sometimes you find that maybe we don't necessarily have the time to get on a call. You write your long paragraphs of whatever you need to vent about. And then in the end, you're like, please just read when you get time, So that it's all in communication, honestly, to make these friendships thrive and to keep them as healthy as they can possibly be. Now, the one other difficulty that I think we tend to have when it comes to adult friendships is trust and intentions. It just really becomes hard to understand why we become a little bit skeptical of people coming into our lives, because when you look at it, as we get older, we get to have more mature or older challenges, right? So you get to be a little bit careful about what you share and with who and whom you invest in, for rightful reasons even. And I think one of the challenges that we're also facing at this day and age is just people looking for Instagrammable friends. If you're not Instagrammable, they can't be friends with you. Or if they can't get something out of you, they can't be friends with you. People are like literally becoming strategic with friends. I'm going to be friends with that one because they have a car. I'm going to be friends with that one because they're a makeup artist. And when I go to events, I'll need someone to do my makeup, probably at a much lower price or for free. I'm going to be friends with that one because they are a tailor. It's making it hard. I'm going to be friends with that one because they got drip. We're going to take nice content. That one has an iPhone. So it just really makes it harder to build much more deeper, meaningful, and true connections because of those reasons. And well, to that, I'm going to be the devil's advocate. I'm not going to entirely blame people who are strategic in their friendships because, as we said, as we grow older, we have less time, we have conflicting priorities, so we are going to be selective about whom we bring into our lives. I don't mean that people need to be entirely materialistic or transactional about friendships, but I think it is an inevitable reality that we can't avoid. So one of the things that I would suggest to you is that have something to offer when it comes to friendships or relationships for that matter. You know, and in terms of offering, it could be that you're a good listener. Like we said, like I was just making examples of calls and writing to each other. We need friends for that, to listen to us, to reason with us, to bounce ideas with them, for advice, to vent. So what you offer in a friendship, it could be really, really good listening skills. What you offer in a relationship, it could be intellectual conversations. People yearn for this so much, to have deep conversations, right? And that is why friendships are deep after all. We want to talk about life. We want to talk about businesses. We want to talk about marriages. We want to talk about ways to raise children. We want to go out together to events. You know, we want someone that when we go to events, we can show up with, and we know that they understand us, our situation, and we are aligned in values and outlooks on life. So you can offer intellectual conversations. You can offer business advice. And yes, you can offer materialistic things. I believe that friendships is one of just survival mechanisms as well. You know, as humans, we thrive in communities. And when you look at it, anything we build as communities. So it doesn't actually hurt to have a friend who has a car, because it means that when you are in need, they're going to be around and you're going to be able to move things around much more quicker and efficiently because you have a friend who has a car. It means that you can make sound decisions because you have a friend that is actually smart, or who has went to uni, or who has had a privileged background, or who has skills that can come in handy when you need help. So it is not necessarily an old bad thing. I think actually what it does, it pushes all of us to improve ourselves so that we have something to offer in relationships. And on that, let us be careful not to be exploitive, to exploit people while at it. I think it is important for us to always have the values of a friendship around having common interests and values and outlooks. You know, the Bible, when it talks about a friend, it talks about basically a friend in need, you know, that this is someone that you can count on when you are deeply in need. And friends sometimes become our family members when you look at it. So let us always remember that friendship is not something that just happens when we are good, when everything is running smoothly. It is also something that happens when we're on the deep. So you should have it in your mind that should my friend be getting married, I'm going to be there running errands on their behalf, right? Should they be having marriage problems or relationship problems, I'm going to be there to listen and offer advice, and need be there to talk to their partner to help mediate or arbitrate whatever situation. Should they be giving birth, I'll be there to come visit them, take care of the child, or clean their house or do acts of service. Should they need a loan, I'll be there to offer that loan. You know, friendship means that, being there both in good times and in bad times. It shouldn't just be strategic. And while on that, I want to talk about on the strategy, right? That, okay, my mind just went blank. So, okay, all right. One of the challenges right? With making friends. You asked that, is it too late to make friends? Can you ask people to be friends? And I agree with that. I think, yes, we need to become better at creating friendships. And one of the struggles that we have on this is social media. We're spending less time being proactive at creating interactions, like deep connections, because we are spending so much time on social media, or we are at work, or we are facing mental health challenges. So we are isolating ourselves, spending much more time in bed, self-pitying and all of that. I think we could spend more time going out there to actually create friends, to actually speak to people and ask them to be our friends. So yes, you can ask people to be your friends. One of the things that I normally do is that when I really, really like somebody, I'll ask them, I'll tell them that, you know what, I think we have so much in common and we'd make great friends. And you have nothing to lose at that. Mel Robbins, an American podcaster and author, she has the let them be theory, that if you say hi to somebody, maybe at a coffee shop, and they don't respond, let them be, right? If you ask them to be your friend and they don't accept, let them be. Be okay with rejection, because sometimes you're just not aligned and it's fine. Sometimes the vibe is off and it's fine. And sometimes people are at capacity. People are intentionally trying not to make new friends because they understand the investment friendship requires. Spending time, being attentive, being attuned, and being vulnerable, allowing someone new into your life. So they could be like, yeah, I'm at capacity, so I'm not going to be creating new friendships. But it is on your part to be intentional and proactive in creating those friendships. So yes, do ask people to spend more time with them. To tell them that you are interesting and I'd like to catch up with you over coffee if you don't mind, right? And do not overthink these things. One of the most interesting quotes that I've used in my life when it comes to social interactions is by Neil Strauss, when he said that don't focus on finding the commitment. Focus on just meeting great people and having great experiences. And I think that should start with yourself. Focus on being a great person yourself. Focus on improving yourself. Focus on knowing and understanding yourself. Because we're all looking for these friendships, but we don't understand the level of commitment that we are looking for. And if you are not ready, you will create disastrous friendships. If you don't have boundaries, you'll make friends with people who have boundaries and have stronger personalities. And they will be dragging you around, and you will be moving around to a point where it exhausts you. They are so proactive with activities. Let's go to this party. Let's spend money on this. And you'll be a yes person, and it will exhaust you and it will change the trajectory of your life. So maybe work on just understanding yourself first, what you like, what you want out of life, so that you make sure that it's easy to spot the right people for you, your like-minded people. The people that you see yourself, imagine yourself spending more time with, the people that you want to invest in. So just focus on meeting great people, having great experiences, and don't internalize the whole idea of that. I want it to be a sisterhood. I want it to be a brotherhood. I want it to be that deep. Because once you focus on that too much, that is when being clingy begins. That is when being transactional begins. You start feeling like, I spent so much time with you, or I got this for you. I got this gift for you. And then when they don't reciprocate that at the time that you want, or they don't fulfill that expectation that you have, you will feel bad and you'll start being a toxic friend. So don't necessarily do things as a means to an end. Do them as an end in itself. Okay? I'm giving because of the sake of giving, because it feels good to give, because it feels good that I want to spend time with you. And then just allow things to naturally flow. You notice sometimes that because of the loneliness, you've met a person for 5 minutes and then they're already calling you mgani. They're already planning the next meetup. And it's like, whoa, 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 hold up, Haibo, you're moving things too fast, because they're already lonely. They are yearning for this friendship. And when you look at research, it actually shows that it takes 50 hours to call someone a casual friend. It takes 90 hours to call someone a friend. And it takes 200 hours to call someone a close friend. So to get into friendships, because now you're desperate and then you're already oversharing with people, you're bombarding them, you're planning next activities, it will brew some toxicity there, because you'll have expectations, you'll be rushing things, and you'll be with people that you do not necessarily align or connect with. Try to understand that it will take time to build meaningful connections with people, and that these connections, after they've been built, they will evolve. There'll be transitions, and be flexible with that evolving. Be flexible with those transitions. Understand that throughout the course of life, even yourself, as you get a job, as you get married, things will change even with your life. So be flexible with people. Don't take things into heart. And another thing, don't necessarily look for that you are aligned with people on everything. So yes, to have similar values and be aligned, it's important. One of the things that I've noticed, for an example, with myself, I work remotely. I am into self-development. I just realized that, it's not everyone that I aligned with. I need people who share the same worldviews as me. And if that is not there, it could cause a hiccup, because you don't see the world the same way anyway. So the conversations may feel a little forced. The activities may feel a little forced. You might feel like you need to compromise a lot. You're doing things that you're not necessarily interested in. So alignment is important, but also at the same time, be open to having friendships with people that you're not necessarily aligned with, because it opens up the mind. It expands your mind. It opens you to, you just kind of get out of your cocoon. There's no point in doing things the same way every day with the same people. It never challenges the way that we think. So be open to creating friendships with people out of the norms that you are used to, because it'll just open you to an entire new world. And it is actually what makes life more exciting. So be receptive of diversity if you actually want to enjoy life and create more friendships. And let us maybe get used to the fact that not everyone is our friend. Get used to the fact that someone is just a colleague or an acquaintance or someone that you just know. And get away with the idea that everyone that we know needs to be a best friend. Because also, again, it puts so much pressure on them being everything to you. All right. So understand that you'll have multiple people in your life serving different purposes, and that is fine. And on boundaries, again, I need you to understand that people will have boundaries as much as you will. And it is very important for you to be flexible with this. One of the things that I feel like I realized that I made mistakes on is one of my long-term friends asked for space. And when they asked for space, this was very hard for me, because I was like, oh my word, what do you mean you need space? More especially when I see you hanging out with other people. I personalized this, and they actually did say that, out of all people, I expected you to understand. And when I justified it in my head, I was like, the thing is, we didn't even discuss for how long are you going to need this space? And what do you mean you need space, But when I reflect back, I realized that no, I personalized this way too early. Sometimes supporting people is actually understanding that they are on an individual journey and a transition. And it doesn't need to make sense to me why they need that space. The most important thing is that the day that they need me, I'm available. When they are ready again to be out there, I'm available. Because what if they actually needed space from me because I was clingy anyway? What if they needed space because they really need to find themselves anyway? So we need to be supportive of their individual journeys. When we need to recap and reconnect in the future, be flexible with that as well. So yeah, that's one of the things that I just wanted to share on. And as we just wrap this up, I want to touch on 3 things that I learned from Mel Robbins that I think are important as you navigate this friendship space. That 3 things that make friendships thrive. One of them is proximity. Understand that friendships are going to be easier and much more deeper when you're within proximity, when you're able to see each other more. We talked about hours, that you need 200 hours to feel like you have a deep connection with someone. So the closer you are together, the friendships are going to be easier. But even if they're at a distance, you can make them work through open and transparent and frequent communication. The other one is timing. So one of the things that she touches on is that why aren't we best friends with people that we work with? Because we have the proximity. It's because of timing. The people we are with at work, we are at different stages of life, which makes it difficult to form deep connections. They are married, some are, it's all over the place. So understand that timing is going to play a major role into making relationships thrive. So it's one of the things that you can work on. You can work on the fact that you create proximity around the people that you want to be friends with. And another thing, you make sure that you're at the same stages of life. If not, try to be a little bit flexible with the fact that you're at different stages of life and try to support each other within that same level. The last one is energy. Energy, it is something that you can work on. Energy, you see vibes. Vibes are a thing. And don't force vibes. If the vibe is not there. Don't force it. And when you start off, maybe the vibes wouldn't be there, but in the long run, you build them and they're actually there. That's fine. Sometimes you can start off and have good vibes and then eventually they end. And that is also fine. Like guys, one of the things I learned, don't take things into heart. Life is way too short and you have one life. So just go with the flow, communicate, avoid as much as you can to hold grudges and personalize things. Understand that everyone is going through their individual journey. So just be flexible. When it works, it works. When it doesn't work, it doesn't work. Okay? And so if you remember these things, proximity, timing, and energy. And one other thing that I would say is needing each other. I think it's important to feel like you need each other and create the need. So let's say you are just busy with your own things in life, right? You're working on activities or a business, automatically you will need people. One of the things that I've observed is that people who are really great at creating friendships, you find that they didn't have parents or they had needy backgrounds. This forced them to have really good people skills and be able to ask from other people. So because of that, they were able to build connections. Because you see this in individualistic and capitalistic societies. Those people just have a difficulty with creating connections because they tend to be so self-absorbed, individualistic, self-reliant. They don't necessarily need anyone else. So if you could create an environment in your life where you actually need people, you find yourself in positions where you need other people and they can actually feel useful in your lives, it does create that space for you guys to create a deep connection. So I would say, yes, create an environment where you need other people and create communities. If you feel like this is a need, trust me, you're not the only one who has this need. So you could go about creating WhatsApp groups with people with similar interests. You know, you could actually go out. When you go out, make sure that you talk to people. You ask for their numbers. You tell them you like them. Be proactive. So guys, because of time, I have to end it here. And as you know, we end every episode with a quote. And I love today's quote. It says, "Friends are people who know you really well and like you anyway." It's by Greg Tamblyn. And I think this is a really great quote and so sweet because it means that these are people who will like you regardless of your shortcomings as well, who will like you regardless of you taking 3 days before you respond to their message, who will like you despite you having your deeps where you are depressed, you have trauma, you have difficulties, you are broke, you can't show up to an event, or you show up to their birthday and you don't even have a gift. They will like you anyway. So guys, that is it from Real Talk with Claudia about friendships. Let us know right in the comments what you think about this topic. Let us talk. What do you think can help us have deeper, meaningful, and healthy friendships? What are things to avoid? What are things to look out for? What are things to practice more and more and more? So yeah, absolutely looking forward to your engagement. Follow me on Instagram, Claudia Bowana. Follow TFE Network, who's behind the great work of delivering these exciting and great conversations to you. And do make sure to share this podcast, this episode, with friends, with family, with anyone that you feel like are having challenges with the friendship space, or you really feel like this episode would help them. Otherwise, until next time, with love.